Hello. Welcome. If you're new here, my name is Lori Conkler, and it's great to meet you. Uh, I was coming on today to just record a little video while I wait in the car for my hubby, who's inside grabbing a few things at the store. And part of my 21 days of using my voice series, I guess, is what I'm really, wanting to reflect a little bit more on. So if you've watched some of my recent videos, I've mentioned this, and using my voice in video and audios, even in my writing, is something that I do often and that I've helped people with for a long time. And um, it's something that I think is really important when it comes to business, being in this coaching space, but just in business and marketing, in life really, overall. And I think that it's not something that's really normalized. And when I say using our voice, like obviously we use our voice all the time. We talk, we have conversations, but like the realness behind that, I think, varies a lot of times. And I've been less present on video and in audios lately, which for a while was something that I was really, really big on doing. And I've been writing content, but I've recognized that something that I've missed was actually speaking using my voice. And I didn't necessarily feel like I knew exactly what I had wanted to talk about for a while, so I just kind of held back. But I also recognized that was part of the problem, and it's part of the problem for so many people, because you're just trying to, you know, when you're curating written content, which I do, and it's great, or when you are stuck in your head thinking about like what you need to do, what you need to say, how you get more clients, how you get more money, and you are focusing everything around that from a business perspective, you often don't say the things that you need to because you're worried about what people will think, how they'll respond to you. But I've been noticing for myself recently, and in a lot of other people that I have had conversations with and that I work with, how much not just in business this shows up, but in our lives, in our relationships. And something I like to look at a lot of times is the parallel between relationships and success, and how oftentimes the things that are impacting us when it comes to the success and our business and the way things are going is paralleled in our relationships. And I've been recently working with a lot of people and talking again about content and messaging and why they're not necessarily reaching the people that they want to. And I've been talking about conviction and speaking with conviction, and I see this oftentimes being something that's lacking for a lot of people, because you say what you think people want you to say. And I've caught myself even doing this, but it happens in our relationships, in our romantic relationships, in our friendships, in our family relationships, in our business relationships. Because oftentimes I think we fear, if we're actually like vulnerable, if we actually show like the realness, that people might reject us, that people might not get it, people might think we're bitchy, or that we're elitist, or we're excluding somebody. And like I said, from a marketing perspective, this is actually a really like big power move, because it oftentimes distills like who's actually looking at your content and who's going to resonate with you. And the people that are going to resonate with you are oftentimes the ones that are going to pay you the most. Okay, one moment. Loud truck pulling out there. That are going to pay you the most, but money aside, that it's going to be the easiest. And that's what I like to look at when it comes to success, is not just money. Because many of the people that I work with, while they make a lot of money, they're very successful, even myself, like I've had a lot of financial success, that wasn't the main priority for you. And if you're still listening, chances are you probably resonate with that too. And for me, when I've made the most money, and it's also when it's been the easiest, because I wasn't trying to perfect things because I wasn't worrying about what people were going to think or say. I was just being me, messy, just showing up in that energy of it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to actually worry about what people think about what I want to say, because if I'm saying it and I'm articulating the things that I want to say with conviction, with confidence to a point, but I think confidence actually comes after the fact oftentimes, that the people that are meant to be in our world will be. And that's whether it's, again, in your personal relationships, whether it's in your business and people paying you. And I often see, and have seen in myself too, like where I would hold back with even my husband sometimes in terms of like the things that I would say or do, where I would worry about what is he going to think of me if he saw that, or that he might reject this part of me because he doesn't necessarily agree with it. So I would find too that I wasn't speaking up, I wasn't saying certain things, I wasn't really being myself, but then I could also see the parallel where that was showing up in my content. Even though a lot of the things that I was saying were really good, they weren't necessarily landing, because I can say things that make sense, that are logical, that are good, but if it's just me polishing things up and trying to be perfect, that's not what people actually want. And I think as we're going into, this age of AI more and more, the voice of humanity is going to get more and more muted, and we start to sound more and more like everybody else. And if we are continuing then to hold back the real parts of ourselves, we're doing the world a disservice. We're doing the people in our lives a disservice. We're doing ourselves a disservice. We're doing our potential clients and our clients a disservice, because people actually want to hear what you have to say. And like from a business perspective, and I've been talking lately with a lot of property owners, so I'll just talk about that. But like where they're talking about their properties, and specifically around retreats, and why, saying, okay, I have this many rooms and I have this and I have that. I'm like, why aren't you saying like the real things? Why is it actually perfect for these groups? Who is it perfect for? Who is it not perfect for? Like, why aren't you actually saying the things? And a lot of times it's like, well, I don't want my existing people to feel like they're not welcome, or I don't want to push people away who might otherwise like the property. I'm like, but at the same time, if you are speaking to the people who you most want there, and you speak to them the loudest, then they're going to be more likely to hear, and you're going to attract them. And when it comes to people in our lives, if you feel like you have to hold back parts of yourself in order to be loved, to be accepted, etc., are those the relationships that you really want in your life? And now I say this with a grain of salt, because there's some relationships, like close family, for instance, where you may want those relationships, and you might worry that if you say certain things that people won't accept that. But at the same time, then maybe those are the relationships where you do have to limit certain things, but not because you're hiding who you are, but because you're just choosing what you do and don't say in certain circumstances. But only to a certain level, because again, if you have to hide yourself and who you are in order to feel loved, are those the relationships that you want? Are those the clients that you want in your world? If you feel like you can't actually speak up and say things, are those the people you want to work with just because they're going to pay you? And this is the kind of thing that I see happening, where oftentimes people are just going after money when it comes to success, and they, in tandem at the same time, are then holding back those parts of themselves and can build a really successful, financially successful business, but then they end up feeling like a fraud, feeling like they're not actually being themselves, feeling like, I don't want this if it's not going to feel good. Because oftentimes you end up having to work harder to stay in relationships with people where you can't be yourself. You have to work harder to attract clients, and then to work with those clients who are not your most aligned people. So it's just this never ending pattern, like cycle of, the less you are, the more you attract the things, the people, the relationships, the clients that require more from you. the less you get paid to oftentimes work with said clients, or the more of them you need. So you're working harder, you're making less money, and you're just trying harder all the time, and it fucking burns you out. And it burns you out not just in your business but also in your personal life. And like I said, just really thinking about these parallels recently in some conversations that I've been having, and wanted to come in and talk about that. So that is my little drop for today. I don't know how many days in I am to those 21 days where I'm recording my voice and utilizing it. And I also find, again, the more you use your voice, the more you start to just say the things that, if you sat there and thought about them over and over, may not come out. So I encourage you to do the same. And if you're wanting to speak with more conviction, if you're wanting to step into something new, but you're afraid of how it will go, of what people will think, reach out. Let's have a conversation and see how I can help you. But at the very least, jump into one of my communities, subscribe to the channel, and there will be more of these in the future. So talk to you soon.